This is a story I love to tell because it comes around every year when I'm reminded of it, every time the subject of 9/11 comes up, which is always around September the 11th. We remember a terrible thing that happened where the planes flew into the Twin Towers. Remember that? And it was a terrible time. But before that happened, I was still traveling and singing, and I was invited to sing at a place near Hood River, Oregon. Now, I had some friends who, when I was doing any kind of ministry or singing in Oregon and in that part of Oregon, I would stay at my friend's place. And that was Mark and Ellen Anthony, some real good friends of mine. And they lived there, so I stayed with them whenever I was there. But it was across the river from Hood River, where there was a blackberry festival, or maybe I don't know, some kind of a berry festival, strawberry festival, whatever it was. I was invited at the big festival to share my songs and do some yodeling. It was not necessarily a gospel thing. It was a secular thing where I would sing a lot of my Western yodeling songs. And so I was invited there. But at Hood River, where my friends lived and where I stayed, I'd been invited there for about 3 years in a row to a convention they held there every year. And it was a kind of a retreat where veterans from the last wars would, they had some kind of an organization called Front Man Ministries. And they would have a big hotel that they would rent, and they had testimonies and stories from some of the war veterans, and they would come there from all over the United States and gather there. Well, I was an invited speaker at that Front Man Ministries, and I was there for about 3 years in a row. Now, that was the 3 years prior to this year when I'm there, and I'm there about a week or two before that Front Man Ministries was going to have another big meeting that I was not invited to because I'd been there enough as far as I was concerned. And so I did stay with my friends, though, while I was at this other festival. Well, when I came back from the Strawberry Festival, we'll call it a Strawberry Festival, whatever it was, I came back from it. My friend was with me that owned the house where we stayed. And as we walked up the sidewalk to his house, he said, "You know, Buzz, that Frontman Ministries is coming up here in another week or so." And he said, "I know you've been our main speaker for the last 3, but he said, why don't you stick around?" And he said, "We'll get you up there. We'll have you, you can speak some more and share some more and of your ministry." And I said, "No," I said, "I've got a ATV ride planned. I'm going to go home back to Idaho, and I've got some friends waiting for me. We're going to do some ATV riding." And I said, "I've been here the last 3 years. I've shared what I'm going to share, just about everything I know. So I think I'll go on." And when I said that, something happened to my back. I could not, all of a sudden, I couldn't move. All of a sudden, I was just totally almost paralyzed. I said, my back went out. And so I couldn't hardly walk. And my friend come over and he put his arm under my armpits and he helped me get in the house. Now, I said that, and that happened to me right after I told him no, I wasn't going to hang around to be a speaker at this Front Man Ministries. Now, one of the things I should say right now is that when I first started the ministry years before that, I told the Lord, "You open the doors and I'll go through them." And from that moment on, the phone began to ring. And I was invited to speak and sing here and here and here and here and there. And I never had to ever look for a place because God opened the doors. And I told him that I would never turn it down, that if he opened the doors, I'd go. Well, here was a door that was open for me because I was asked to stick around for another week and that I could be a speaker at the Frontman Ministries. And I said no. I said, I'm going to go back to Idaho and I'm going to do some ATV riding and blah, blah, blah. Well, that's when my back gave out. And so he helped me get in the house. And I thought, well, this will straighten out pretty quick. It's just a kink in my back or something. And I tried to get better through the day and I couldn't. And so I spent the night, I had to sleep on the sofa, as a matter of fact. And because it had me in a position where I could sleep and I could hardly move. And so the next morning I thought, well, I'll be better in the morning, but I wasn't. I was just as bad or worse. So they took me to a carpenter. Chiropractor. Carpenter would have been better. So they took me to a chiropractor. Now, to get from the house to the car was excruciating. I mean, as long as I didn't move, as long as I stayed laying down, I didn't hurt. But when I tried to walk, I hurt terribly. I couldn't hardly move. Everything felt like my back was going to break in two. And so they had to help me get in the car, and it took a while to get me there. And I'll tell you what, it was so tender that on the way to the chiropractor, every little crack in the road, I felt it. Everything that ever bumped, it was so painful. And so we went to the chiropractor, and he worked on me for, I don't know, probably an hour, sent me home, and I wasn't any better. My friend said, Buzz, you might as well stick around. It looks like you're going to be here for a while. I said, no, I'll be better. I'll get better. I said, let's go to the hospital in the morning. So the next day they took me to the hospital. And again, it was just as much trouble getting to the car as it was the first day. I had just as much of a struggle, and the pain was just as much. And so we went to the hospital, and they gave me some kind of shots in my back. They did everything they could for me, and nothing helped. I'd come home, and back on the sofa I went, and I stayed there. And every day I tried to figure out how to get better, and I could not get any better. Day after day, I was there for a week, and every day I called my kids. I said, come and get me, because I want to be back to Idaho and I want to get in on this ATV ride. Well, I'd have never been able to do it, the shape my back was in, but I refused to think that that was going to hold me down. But it was, and I wasn't able to move. Kids couldn't come and get me, so here I was stuck in my friend's house for a whole week, day after day, and we didn't know how I was going to get any better. Now, on 9/11, on the 11th of September, I was getting up off of the sofa, and I said to my friend, help me get to the bathroom where I can shower. I need to get a shower. I said, help me get there. Now, so he had his arms under my armpits, and he's trying to help me get along down the hall. And we go down the hall to the bathroom, and we get in the bathroom, and he's getting the shower ready for me. He's going to help me get a shower. And he said, you know, Buzz, tomorrow Frontman Ministry starts. And he said, you're here. And he says, I'll get you a wheelchair, and you can speak from a wheelchair, and you can be here. And I said, yes. I said, I guess I might as well. I'll stick around, and I'll come and speak at the Frontman Ministries. And when I said that, I said, oh, you know what? I forgot something in the bedroom. And I whirled around, and I walked. This is the true story. He helped me get into the bathroom, and I was just all the way. And when I said to him, I'll be there, I'll go to the Frontman Ministries, I'll speak for you. Boom! I never thought of it. All I did is I whirled around and walked into the back, and he's watching me. He's looking at me, his jaw's dropped, and I'm not even thinking about it. I just walked into the bedroom and got my toiletries and the stuff I needed, and walked back into the bathroom, and I went, Mark, it's gone. It was gone. It was gone. I didn't hurt. It was as if there wasn't even a sample. There wasn't even a little bit of pain. I was totally pain free. And I never figured it out until we listened to the TV. And here the planes were diving into the Twin Towers. And all of a sudden, we found out that they were closing down all flights all over the country. Well, the people who were the main speakers at Frontman Ministries were not able to get on a plane and fly to Oregon. I was the main speaker. There was nobody else that could get there except people that were close by. But most of their main speakers were unable to fly because they shut down the airports. Do you suppose God knew that was going to happen? Well, all I can tell you this, you make up your own mind, but when I walked down that sidewalk and I said, no, I won't go, I became unable to walk. And when I came to a week later where I said, yes, I'll go, and I was healed instantly, and I could walk, and it was just like it never happened. You tell me who was involved in that. God knew that 9/11 was going to happen. God knew the speakers were not going to be able to come. And so, of course, I was fine. I could walk up on stage and I did my whatever it is I was supposed to do at Frontman Ministries. Thank you, Mark and Ellen. Oh, by the way, my good friend Mark has passed away since then, but Ellen's still alive. And I just, every time I go through there, I think, wow, this is where that all happened. This is where God did that miracle and made sure he knew that there wasn't going to be some of the main speakers. He knew that I had turned down going there and he wasn't going to let that happen. And he kept me there until this festival opened up and, well, it became a success. What can I say? God is so good. And I'm so glad he did that. I didn't need the ATV ride. I needed exactly what happened to happen. So God blessed that meeting, and we had a great time, and there was a lot of men that came to the Lord during that festival. So I can just only say thank God. If you delight yourself in him, he'll bless you. He'll give you your desires, and that's what he did on 9/11. And I'll never forget it every time 9/11 comes around. It's a tremendous thing that happened in my life, and I want you to get yourself in a position where you can trust the Lord, and he'll get you through situations that you never thought possible, and he'll give you miracles like some of them I've been talking about. Check out some of those episodes that I've already shared with you. Every one of them is a true story. Check them out and ring that little bell down there at the bottom, and we'll catch you on the next one. God bless you.